morning, everyone. Welcome to episode 5 of the Willow Cove Crafts podcast, a podcast about knitting and sewing and my other crafty endeavors. My name is Emily, and you can find me on both Ravelry and Instagram as Willow Cove Crafts. Today is Sunday, June 27th, 2021, and I am coming to you from just outside of Madison in Verona, Wisconsin. It has been about 3 weeks since I last recorded. I feel like I say this every episode, but I really want to get in the habit of recording every 2 weeks, and it's just not happening. It's been a pretty busy couple of weeks. It's been a weird few weeks, so I have been on my own the last couple weeks. Dan, who is my boyfriend, got the opportunity to work remotely for a couple weeks, and so he decided to go home to New Jersey to have an extended stay with his parents. His parents and his brother both still live in New Jersey. So he has been gone for the last 3 weeks, which is kind of crazy because I think that's the longest we've ever been apart by a long shot. But he is driving home as we speak. He should be here in a few hours, so I'm hoping to knock out this recording before he gets home. I'm really excited to see him. But I myself have had a lot going on the last couple weeks. I wrote down a list of all of the things. I might just mention a few of the big ones. So a couple weekends ago, my family and I went to Chicago for my grandmother's 80th birthday party. That was a lot of fun. I really enjoy spending time with my extended family. I think, they like to have a good time. So that was really fun to go and celebrate with them. And then I've just had, a lot of time with friends. I feel like, at least here, a lot of the COVID restrictions have been lifted. So currently we have nothing. We're completely, back to normal. And so I feel like a lot of people are, making up for lost time and having things, and, there's just been a lot on the calendar. What else? Last weekend was Father's Day. That was the big reason I had scheduled to record a podcast last Sunday, and then it occurred to me that it was Father's Day, and so I had to obviously go spend that with my dad instead of recording a video. I went and picked him up lunch at his favorite restaurant and then brought it to him, and we had lunch together, and then I just kind of hung out at my parents' house for the afternoon. And then other than that, I think I mentioned this before, but I am turning 30 next week. A week from today, on July 4th, is my 30th birthday, and we are having a pretty big party. So we've been doing a lot of preparation for that. My mom has been practicing her cooking, and I feel just all around town picking up, coolers and folding tables for my friends who are letting us borrow them, shopping and just getting ready for the party. I think we're expecting about 80 people, which is insane to me. I don't even know what that amount of people looks like anymore. But yeah, I'm really excited for that. Yeah. So without further ado, let's get on with the knitting content. Like I mentioned, recorded about 3 weeks ago. I have no finished objects and no new works in progress. I recall last episode having just started a couple larger projects. And I've mentioned this before, but I am trying very hard to be diligent with my knitting projects. You know, when I start something, I want to work consistently on it until it's done. I by no means will ever be a monogamous knitter. I think I need a couple projects to keep some variety, but you know, I want to work on those couple projects, and then when I finish one, then I can start a new one. So I'm kind of in that stage where I've got a good amount of projects, and I'm just working on them. And then, you know, I don't plan on casting on anything new until I finish one of them. So if you've watched my previous episode, you've seen all of these before, but I've gotten some decent progress done on some of them. So I'm excited to share that with you today. First up today, I have my current sock project. I am working on a pair of Hermione's Everyday socks by Lueder for my sister for Christmas. This is the yarn I am using. It's blowing out a little bit. Close enough. My cake is getting pretty small. I'm getting close to finishing these. This is 3 Irish girls in their Adorn Luxe base, which is an 85% merino, 15% nylon, and the colorway is called Baby I'm a Star. And this is what I have so far. This is the second sock. I have finished the first, and I've been trying to put markers on my project to show where I was the last time I recorded. So since last episode, I was at this pink light bulb marker, and I've done the heel flap and gusset, and am now working on the foot. And I'm probably about halfway done with the foot. So these are getting pretty close to being done. I did have to rip back a little bit on these, purely because I am a little bit of a perfectionist when it comes to my making. There are a lot of mistakes I just cannot live with. And so I made the tiniest mistake. If you're familiar with the pattern, it's a free pattern, so this is not giving away too much, but you do a row of knits and purls, and then you do a row of knits, do a row of knits and purls, do a row of knits, and I had knit 2 rows in a row. And so, you know, it disrupted the pattern, but so minorly, you could barely tell. Like I was even like looking at it really closely to see if I had messed up, because something looked like slightly off, but I couldn't quite figure it out. And then I kept knitting. I was like, oh, it's fine. I'm not gonna fret about that too much. But then the more and more I knit, the more and more I was like, I have to go back and rip it out. So I ended up ripping about 2 inches of sock out to go fix this like super small mistake. But you know what? That is just the type of knitter I am. I know other folks out there would be able to deal with that, but my philosophy is if I'm gonna be spending a ton of time on something, I want it to be right. So I would rather take the time to rip back and redo it than let it sit. There are some things I make mistakes on, and I, you know, learn to live with it. I feel like I am greatly bothered by mistakes. So to kind of ease my mind on those, I often go back and fix them. Very rarely do I leave mistakes in. Luckily for me, I'm a pretty slow knitter, and so I don't feel like I tend to make a ton of mistakes just because, you know, I'm never flying along. It's always a very slow knit. So I guess that's the perks of being a slow knitter, is you notice mistakes pretty quickly and maybe don't have a ton of knitting to rip back when you do notice them. What else do I want to say about this? Yeah, I think, I'm doing a 72 stitch sock, heel flapping gusset, 2x2 rib at the top. These are for my sister Amy for Christmas. I don't think she watches this, and even if she did, I'm not super into surprises. So, whatever, if she sees them, she sees them. Yeah, I really like how they're turning out, and excited to maybe get those done by next episode. Maybe. We'll see. Next up is my sweater project, which I might have to go back and look, but I think I've been working on this sweater the entire time I've been recording episodes. So I think I put up my first episode in April. So this sweater has been going on for a while. I don't know why I'm being so slow with it. It's not good. But I have made some progress since last time. This is my Sumac sweater by Orlane Sucche. And as of last episode, I had just started the first sleeve, and now I am almost done with the first sleeve. Just have a few more rows of ribbing to do before I bind off the sleeve. And then I have one more sleeve to go, and this thing will finally be finished. Sorry if you can hear my needles clinking everywhere. I am using Cascade 220 in the Eggplant colorway. This is my last skein. I believe I've used 6 so far, so 7 in total. And I have about this much left of my 6th ball, so I should have plenty to finish the second sleeve. I am knitting the size extra large, which I always forget the numbers. So I have a 45-inch chest, and the extra large, I believe, ends up being 51 inches. So it gives a good bit of positive ease. It fits really well. I'm really happy with how it is fitting. And yeah, I think I've just lost some steam on this sweater because I can't wear it. I started this sweater kind of going into the summer months, and so I can't wear it. I can't really wear any of my knitted objects right now. And so in my mind, there's really no reason to rush it because I'm not going to be able to wear it for another 4 months anyways. So just slowly working along. I'll maybe work on it 1 or 2 nights out of the week. And yeah, the sleeve went pretty quickly. I think I've mentioned this before, but I don't actually really mind knitting sleeves. I know a lot of people see it as a bit of a burden. I just think I've lost steam on this sweater in general. It has nothing to do with the sleeves, but I love the sleeves on this sweater. I love this, I forget what they call it in the pattern, but it's this very vertical texture going down the sleeves. I'm really happy with that. Trying to think if there's anything else. I guess I always forget to talk about, so the yarn is Cascade 220. It's a worsted weight yarn, 100% wool. I'm using size 7 needles, size 5 for the ribbing. And look at my notes. Yeah, I still don't know if this will be done by the next episode, but hopefully by the one after that. I have to finish this sweater and move on with something else. So we'll see. Just keep chugging along. I think this is a good example of like in a past life, I think I would have put this aside, never to be seen again, but I'm trying really hard to at least work on it one night a week. So progress is slow, but at least progress is happening. So again, that's the Sumac sweater by Orlane Sucche. I really love it. I'm excited to wear it. I just don't want to work on it anymore. Next up is my shawl project, and this is probably the one I've been most excited to work on of my current batch of whips. I am working on the Hyldebaer shawl by Fiber Tales, and since last episode, this is my tiramisu stitch marker from Sucre Miniatures, but I've made quite a bit of progress. I've added, maybe 4 inches onto the shawl, and the rows are getting pretty long. It's a lot of bobbling. Those of you who have done bobbles before know that they take a while to do. But yeah, I've been really enjoying working on this. I think it's a good balance between, you have a bobble row and that kind of takes forever. And then you have a couple, rest rows where you're doing something a little bit more simple in between. And it's just like so soft and squishy, and I'm really excited to have this one for the fall and winter this year. I do still have quite a bit of bobbling to do. The whole body of the shawl is just what you see here, this bobble texture, and then the border is this beautiful, heavily cabled applied border that I'm really excited to do. I think I mentioned this is the Hyldebaer shawl by Fiber Tales. I am using Knit Picks Preciosa, which is a single ply fingering weight, 100% wool. This is just the bare yarn. So just a nice cream color. And I think I mentioned before, but my mom got me this yarn for me to dye it, and I just never did. My mom really loves super bright, crazy colors, and I am much more of a neutral person, so I didn't dye it. Yeah, I think the rows are getting a little long. I think we're gonna start to get to the point where I'm gonna maybe lose a little bit of steam, but the fact that that border is coming up and I'm really excited to get to the border and knit the border, I think it's gonna be really fun and kind of a more complex stitch texture. I'm excited to get to that, and I think that's like really pushing me through all of this bobbling section. So yeah, that's my shawl. My last knitting work in progress is the Slipstravaganza blanket by Stephen West. Here it is. Last episode I was where my croissant stitch marker is. I'm preaching to the choir. Everyone loves Sucre Miniatures. There's just something about having a little piece of food on your knitting that really tickles me. Anyways, I was last episode in this pink, he calls this the honeycomb section. So I was in this pink honeycomb, and since then it's a little squished on the needles, but I've done this white honeycomb, and I am just wrapping up that last repeat of the honeycomb section, which I've done in the white, and then we're moving on to a different section. So I'm really excited. Even though this is a huge blanket, I think, there's a ton of different sections and stitch patterns and textures, and so I'm hoping that that kind of helps keep things moving. So yeah, I am kind of sick of doing honeycombs, but now I get to move on and do something else. So I love how it's turning out. I love this color combination so much. I am excited to have this finished someday and just draped over my couch looking so beautiful. I am using the recommended yarn, which is Stephen West's brand of yarn. This is West Wool in Tandem, which is a DK weight. Where does it say? Oh, it says right at the front. It's 10% textile, which I don't know what that is, and then 90% wool. It feels really nice. Whatever textile is, I'm guessing it's a synthetic fiber. It feels really good. The yarn is really soft, which I think is good for a blanket. You know, a lot of wool can get pretty scratchy, so having a nice cozy blanket with a nice soft yarn, that's great stuff. I'm gonna go through my colors really quick. My main color is white peach. I'm still on my first ball of that. The golden color is called Glow. The light blue is Glass. I'm doing this from memory, so if I say the wrong thing, I apologize. This deep teal is called Norway. This kind of dark mauve is called Roswitha. The white is Birch tree. And then I haven't used it yet, but the next section I'm doing, I'm gonna use this kind of orangey red, and this is called Kardemumma, I believe. So my next section will be using the white peach and the Kardemumma. I think it's gonna look really good. I do have a gray that I didn't bring over, but I have my final contrast color is a light gray, so I'll tell you what that is when I get to it. Yeah, I'm really enjoying working on this blanket. I think it's super fun. Again, it changes up every so often, and there's a lot of color changes and a lot of texture changes, and so I'm hoping that keeps me going. I made the mistake of looking at what the final stitch count is when it's at its biggest circumference, and it was something like 1,600 stitches in a round, which is absurd. I don't know what I was expecting. Like, it is a blanket, of course it's gonna get pretty big at the end, but 1,600 stitches, it's crazy. Just gotta keep working on it, I guess. Keep going. So yeah, love that one. It's definitely gonna be on the needles for a while, but I still really enjoy working on it, so I think we'll see some really good progress in the next little bit here. Next up, we're gonna move into some sewing content, and the eagle-eyed among you might have noticed, if you watched my last episode, that I am wearing a sewing finished object. I finished my Scout tee that I had started last episode, and I might try and bop up a little bit so you can see it. I like to wear it tucked in. Yeah, I've worn this, I think this is my third time wearing it since I finished it. I really like how it fits. I think it looks pretty sharp when I iron it, at least. It's a little wrinkly today. I used some fabric I purchased from Blackbird Fabrics, and I've noticed that fabric has like 100 words in their names. It's like a full-on description in the name, but this was some black and white railroad linen, which is a 100% linen, and I believe, I'm still learning about fabric, but I believe the railroad is because it's striped like this. Got a real close-up of my face there. But again, this is the Scout Tee by Grainline Studio. The pattern, like the original pattern, is just like a regular short sleeve. There is the option to buy a sleeve expansion pack, which I did, and that has the option to do a cuffed sleeve, which I thought went really well with, linen is a little bit more of it's a little bit of a stiffer, like sturdier fabric. And so, I liked the idea of having a cuff sleeve with a fabric like that. I think if I were to make this shirt out of a knit, which is a bit more stretchy, I would definitely do the original sleeve. I made the straight size 16, which according to the measurements shouldn't have fit me. It should have been too small. But I do think that this shirt is built with a lot of positive ease. And so I think it fits pretty well. It's even still a little oversized, and I made no adjustment to the bust area. I just did it as is. The only adjustment I made was that I added about an inch in length to the shirt. I have said this time and time again, but I am 5'9", and so a lot of things end up being a bit short on me. So I often need to add length to the sewing projects I've done, but then also my knitting projects nearly always need a couple extra inches added to them. But yeah, I'm really happy with how it turned out. I've gotten some compliments on it from strangers, which I am always surprised by. And then I always feel a little awkward, but like, I want to tell them like, oh, thanks, I made it. And then people always seem to think you're a wizard or something. But yeah, I'm really happy with it. And I look forward to making a couple more editions of this shirt. I really enjoyed the pattern. Next up is my current sewing work in progress. I said at the beginning of the episode, and I think I mentioned in my last episode, for my birthday party next weekend, I really wanted to make my dress that I was going to wear. And so I've been working on this a lot because it's on a little bit of a deadline. I actually feel like the last couple weeks I've been doing more sewing than knitting, just because this shirt I wanted to get done and wear to my grandma's party, and then now this dress I want to get done and wear to my birthday party. So I've been sewing up a storm. I am making for my birthday party the Eve dress by Sew Over It. It is out of kind of a wacky fabric. I am definitely more of a simple dresser. I like, more muted colors, neutrals. I don't love a lot of like bold patterning on things. But for my birthday dress, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna pick something a little out of the box and just make like a really, what is for me kind of a statement dress. And so here it is kind of in a bit of a pile. And you can see Some of you out there I know are probably like really into big patterns, and this is nothing for you, but this is not something I would typically choose for myself. This fabric is, hold on to your hats, there's a lot of description in here. This is Bella Donna Bright Coral, Bella Cotton Lawn by Kristen Balouch for Birch Fabrics. My understanding from the little bit of research I did is that Kristen Balouch is actually an illustrator. I think she maybe has done like children's books, but she did a line of fabric for Birch Fabrics, which I have never really thought about, but that makes a lot of sense. Like if you're an illustrator, you're kind of the perfect type of person to design fabric, because fabric is just illustration on cloth. It's a little mind-blowing to me. I don't know. Anyways, I will kind of hold this up so you can see what I have so far. It's almost done. So the dress features a flutter sleeve. I should clarify, the dress comes in 2 versions. I am making version 1, which I think is more of the like flouncy version. The other one has like more of a slender sleeve and a shorter skirt. But this one has a flutter sleeve and then a high-low hem, which you're definitely not going to be able to see on the video. It is a wrap dress, which is why it's open in the front. And yeah, I'm really loving how it's turning out, and it looks so good on camera. But it is almost done. I have fully constructed the top, fully constructed the skirt, sewn it all together. The only things that I need to finish are, this is not called for in the pattern, but I watched some YouTube videos of a couple other people that had made this dress, and one of them said that she always uses bias binding on the openings of her wrap dresses, including this one. And I thought that was a good idea because the way this pattern is written is definitely meant for someone with a serger, which I do not have a serger, so I had to get a little creative in how I did this. Yeah, so I've attached my bias binding. I haven't turned it over yet, but I need to finish that up. I need to hem the skirt, and then I need to do my ties so that my dress stays closed and I'm not flashing everyone at my party. No one wants that. What else? For this dress, and I think for all of my other garments I've mentioned, I do not have a serger, and so I, at least for woven fabrics, like to do French seams, which you can see a bit here. I also did a little modification that I saw. Same woman who recommended the bias binding. I think her name, I don't know what her name is, but she's like kittenish behavior on YouTube. She's got a really great channel. Anyways, there is this ruffle detail up here at the shoulder that kind of sits here. And she was saying that it's hard to do a French seam on a ruffle because the whole point of a French seam is to, you know, French seams are very hard to do on a bulky fabric. And so when you have a ruffle, even if your fabric is kind of fine, you're creating a lot of bulk in that area. And so what she recommended, so the ruffle kind of goes into this, they called it a yoke piece. And then, so here's the ruffle, and then that attaches up here at the shoulder seam. So we've got this rectangle here. She recommended cutting another rectangle and then kind of burritoing your ruffle in there to, you know, and you can kind of maybe see it if the light shines through, but my ruffle is kind of sandwiched in between those 2 layers. And so I did not French seam that part, but I thought that was a really good tip. I think it looks really nice. And then because my fabric is so thin, I was able to French seam that double layer, that double yoke layer. So anyways, really happy with that. One of my coworkers saw a picture of this and she said that the centers of the flowers look like chocolate chip cookies, which I hadn't quite noticed, but now I can't unsee it. It doesn't bother me at all. I love chocolate chip cookies, but I thought that was a funny little thing to notice about the fabric. Couple modifications. I did add an inch to the bodice. The bias binding closure is not called for in the pattern, but it seemed like a good idea. And then, like I said, the pattern basically calls for you to serge all of your edges and then sew them together. I have French seamed pretty much everything I can. Things did get a little weird. Because it's a wrap dress, you've got a hole on the side for your tie. That was a little tricky to French seam, so I kind of did my best to, I think you can kind of see it. I did my best to make that hole look as neat as I could. It's the one part I'm a little unhappy with, but no one's gonna notice. The tie is gonna stick through there and pretty much cover it up. So yes, I'm gonna finish that up this week so that I can wear it on Sunday, and I'll definitely be taking some pictures to share with you on here and on my Instagram. I did want to talk a little bit about my Little Miss Sawtooth Star quilt. If you've watched previous episodes, you'll know that I have been working on that quilt. I once again had a couple weeks where I didn't work on it. I still plan on finishing that quilt. It got kind of pushed to the back burner a little bit because of the garment sewing I was doing and having some deadlines tied to those. I do unfortunately think it's going to continue to be on the back burner, which pains me a little bit because I love that quilt and want to finish it. But also it really goes against this this goal I've had of not letting my progress or my projects languish too much. But I've mentioned this before, but I have a couple friends who are having babies, and I have picked out a couple sewing projects to make for those babies. And the babies are also on a deadline. And so I really want to focus. It's like choosing between a rock and a hard place. I get sad that I'm letting this project languish, but then, the alternative is to be stressed about finishing these baby projects on time. And so I'm going to be taking a little bit of a break from the Sawtooth Star quilt to work on a couple baby items, which I will hopefully start for next episode. As soon as I finish my dress, I am planning on starting a quilt for my friend Amanda's baby. And then after I do that, I'm planning on sewing some stuffed animals for a couple of my other friends who are having babies as well. So, baby items maybe go quickly, but I will be working on those. But once those baby items are finished, I will go back to the Sawtooth Star quilt, and I really want you all to hold me accountable to that. If you see me finish up those baby items and then start something brand new, I need you to let me hear about it. Because even though I'm taking a break from it, I do not intend to let that quilt sit in the sad, unfinished object pile. It's coming back out. So, hold me accountable, please. Well, I think that is it for me today. Thank you so much for spending a little bit of your time with me. I hope you are getting lots of knitting and sewing done if that is your thing. I am hoping to record again in 2 weeks, which I believe is July 11th. And yeah, I will talk to you then. If you liked what you saw today, please like and subscribe to the channel, and I will chat with you all in a couple weeks. Thanks everyone, bye.